University Press, we know that your work as an English language teacher evolves constantly. Teaching techniques and methods change. Your learners have different needs. But what about you?
This is a path full of so many things.
As our learners and our students evolve, flexibility is needed.
When it comes to challenges, we always have lots.
We need to be learning constantly. Everything's so changeable.
So to support and empower your teaching, we offer a variety of professional development opportunities designed for you and informed by your collective teaching experiences.
At Oxford University Press, we want to help teachers move forward and develop, and we want to support them as they go through this journey, taking into account what's happening on the ground, what's happening in classrooms.
Oxford University Press is always by their side, ready to listen and provide help and assistance wherever they can.
Underpinned by research on the most topical and important issues in English language teaching, lots of our materials cover a range of topics and methodologies and are available 24/7.
You'd find that there are all kinds of materials available to you. Become better informed about the context of teaching with techniques and solutions to take back to the classroom.
You can find position papers and focus papers on key areas with lots of ideas.
Global online events to connect, learn and grow.
We have global online events. These are really fantastic opportunities to bring together our teaching and learning communities.
It's great to see the interaction between other teachers and educators across the world.
We're here to support you, so you can be the best teacher that you can be.
Teachers embracing professional development will benefit.
As teachers, we should adapt ourselves into new conditions.
It will benefit your life and your students' life as well.
Take a look at Buzz and see how we introduce new words. In Buzz and Beehive, we have a beautiful page where the words are embedded in the page. It's a great chance for the students to talk about what they know on that page, and for you as a teacher to find out what your students know and what they don't know. We also have an opportunity for the students to look at videos, and the videos are short clips of real content. For example, this one, they're animals. So you can see the animals and hear the animals, and then they can see the drawings of the animals on the page. Cat. So that's really great. At the end of the lesson, you will also find that there's a little game that students play. Last, we have a chant, which is just so simple and fun.
Say the chant.
Face. Face.
Ready? Say it. Say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Hands.
You know it.
Hands.
Here we go. 1, 2, I give you 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
The structure of it is the same each time, so it's easy for you as a teacher to have the students stand up, take a little movement break, and do that chant. After our first lesson, introducing new words to the students, our second lesson builds on that. We add new grammar structures. And in this lesson, you'll see lots of different ways for students to learn new grammar. For example, there's this 3-panel story, and they're always so cute and so funny. And so your students might enjoy acting these out. There are also games that go along with it. They're really fun for students to use grammar in a natural way. And so we're using reading, writing, speaking, listening, along with global skills, those critical thinking skills, and if they're acting out, some creativity as well.
When will we arrive there? We're there now, said Clunk. The children looked out the window at the blue sky. What are you doing? Cooking, I'm cooking, I'm cooking.
Five reasons why Oxford Reading Club is about more than just reading. Learners of all ages and levels love reading in English with the Oxford Reading Club digital library. That's because they can choose from hundreds of award-winning ebooks across a wide range of topics, all adapted for English language learners. Oxford Reading Club also helps learners improve all their language learning skills, including listening, speaking, and vocabulary. Plus, it encourages independent reading and rewards regular readers. So here are 5 reasons why it's about more than just reading. 1. Oxford Reading Club helps improve listening skills. Students can listen to high-quality audio recordings while they read and adjust the speed to match their pace. 2. Oxford Reading Club helps improve speaking skills. Students can practice speaking by recording themselves reading out loud and then listening back to the recordings. 3. Oxford Reading Club helps develop vocabulary. Students can build their own list of challenging words for extra practice and look up the definitions in the dictionary. 4. Oxford Reading Club helps beginners read independently. Beginners are guided step by step through lower-level books with interactive activities to keep them engaged and reading without the help of a teacher or parent. 5. Oxford Reading Club keeps learners motivated. Students earn reward badges the more they read, making it a fun way to learn and keeping them excited about reading. Oxford Reading Club. Read your way to better English anytime, anywhere.
Trong 4 năm thực hiện chương trình đổi mới giáo dục, bộ sách giáo khoa tiếng Anh Friends Series đem lại hiệu quả trong giảng dạy tiếng Anh. Nội dung sách giúp học sinh phát triển và rèn luyện đạo đức, kỹ năng sống, phát huy tính tích cực, chủ động, sáng tạo của những công dân toàn cầu cho thời kỳ hội nhập quốc tế. Kế thừa và phát huy ưu điểm nổi bật của bộ sách, năm học 2024-2025, Nhà xuất bản Giáo dục Việt Nam tổ chức biên soạn sách giáo khoa tiếng Anh theo chương trình giáo dục phổ thông 2018. Sách giáo khoa tiếng Anh năm Family and Friends National Edition. sách giáo khoa tiếng Anh 9 Friends Plus, sách giáo khoa tiếng Anh 12 Friends Global. Bộ sách giáo khoa tiếng Anh Friends Series được Bộ Giáo dục và Đào tạo phê duyệt, sử dụng trong cơ sở giáo dục phổ thông, được dạy thực nghiệm tại nhiều địa phương trước khi phát hành kiến thức. Bộ sách mang tính liên thông, nội dung sách đảm bảo các mạch kiến thức theo yêu cầu của chương trình môn học. Sách giáo khoa tiếng Anh 5 Family and Friends National Edition giúp học sinh phát triển toàn diện Whole Child Development, hình thành và rèn luyện các kỹ năng thiết yếu của thế kỷ 21 như sáng tạo, creativity, hợp tác, collaboration, giao tiếp, communication và tư duy phản biện, critical thinking, học văn hóa và các giá trị đạo đức thông qua việc học ngôn ngữ. Sách tiếp cận việc học tiếng Anh theo chuẩn quốc tế. Học sinh được làm quen với các bài đánh giá năng lực phổ biến trên thế giới như Cambridge, ETS, Pearson. Cấu trúc mỗi bài học giúp học sinh chủ động khai thác kiến thức mới, khám phá quy tắc ngôn ngữ và vận dụng sáng tạo theo năng lực cá nhân. Ngôn ngữ bộ sách chuẩn xác, khoa học, hiện đại, được chỉnh lý từ chuyên gia bản ngữ, song vẫn đảm bảo sự phù hợp đối với học sinh lớp 5. Sách giáo khoa tiếng Anh 9 Friends Plus có gì hấp dẫn? 1. Chủ đề bài học đa dạng, phù hợp với tâm sinh lý và lứa tuổi, phát triển đồng đều 4 kỹ năng nghe, nói, đọc, viết. 2. Bài tập luyện kỹ năng đọc phong phú hơn và được mở rộng ở các phần Clear, Culture. 3. Sách sử dụng tiếng Anh tiêu chuẩn của người bản xứ Anh Quốc. 4. Từ vựng được giới thiệu cả về nội dung, ngữ cảnh và cách dùng, phạm vi từ vựng gần với khung tham chiếu châu Âu CEFR. 5. Tư liệu cho phần đọc, nghe có nội dung thực tế, authentic và cập nhật mới, đáp ứng các yêu cầu cho việc hội nhập quốc tế. 6. Phần rèn luyện các kỹ năng có kèm theo chiến lược, giúp học sinh tự khai phá kiến thức và chủ động trong việc tự học. 7. Cứ mỗi 2 đơn vị bài học đều có một bài ôn tập Progress Review, giúp học sinh hệ thống hóa kiến thức đã học. Khám phá điểm nổi bật của sách giáo khoa tiếng Anh 12 Friends Global. 1. Bám sát yêu cầu về chủ điểm, chủ đề, kiến thức và kỹ năng của chương trình giáo dục phổ thông tiếng Anh lớp 12, phù hợp với tiếp cận bậc 3 trong khung năng lực ngoại ngữ 6 bậc của Việt Nam. 2. Hướng dẫn học tập theo từng bước cụ thể. Sách có chỉ dẫn rõ ràng, giúp học sinh xác định được mục tiêu học tập, chủ động đánh giá năng lực. 3. Sách được thiết kế nhiều hoạt động đa dạng để học sinh thực hành và phát triển kỹ năng. 4. Chủ đề bài học đa dạng, lồng ghép giáo dục hướng nghiệp, nội dung cập nhật các thành tựu khoa học mới, đáp ứng yêu cầu hội nhập quốc tế. 5. Củng cố kiến thức căn bản và nâng cao nhằm giúp học sinh tự tin chinh phục kỳ thi trong nước và quốc tế. Nhà xuất bản Giáo dục Việt Nam cam kết đồng hành. Tài nguyên giảng dạy đa dạng, phong phú, hệ thống học tập giảng dạy hiện đại, hội thảo chuyên đề nâng cao chuyên môn, ngân hàng câu hỏi, ngân hàng đề thi dành cho giáo viên, hỗ trợ chuyên môn 24/7.
Hello, and welcome to our webinar. If you're watching this video, then you're in the right room. Let us know you're here by typing where you're joining us from in the chat box. The chat box is available on the bottom right-hand corner of the room. If you're on mobile, you can click the message icon to bring up the chat. Welcome, everyone. You will see messages from our moderators in the chat box. They are here to help you during the event. From now, I just want to give you a quick introduction to the webinar room to ensure you can get the most out of your webinar experience. You will see the video playing in the bulk of your screen. This will be where presenters will share their slides and camera during the event. You don't need to worry about taking notes, as we will send the slides to you after the event. Next to this is the chat box, where we have all been introducing ourselves. You can get the moderator's attention by typing help. Within the chat box, there is a Q&A tab. Please put your questions into Q&A. It will make it easier for us to find them at the end of the presentation. We will then address questions at the end of the talk. We may answer technical questions that we can help with. Then they will appear in the Answered tab. We will delete the answered questions to make space for other answered Q&As. During some presentations throughout the event, we'll be using polls and other interactive features. These will appear on your screen for you to interact with. If you do not wish to complete them, you can press the X in the top right-hand corner to remove them from your screen. If the webinar has the options for you to use subtitles, then you will see the CC symbol. Click on it and it will drop down a list of languages available. I think that is enough information for now. So without further ado, let's get the webinar started.
Chào mừng quý thầy cô đến với buổi tập huấn trực tuyến tiếng Anh 12 Friends Global. Let me do some quick tech check. If you can hear me and see me, please type yes into the chat box. Nếu quý thầy cô có thể nghe thấy tôi, vui lòng gõ yes vào ô chat ạ. Great, thank you. Again, xin được chào mừng quý thầy cô đến với buổi tập huấn giảng dạy tiếng Anh trực tuyến Friends Global do nhà xuất bản Đại học Oxford phối hợp cùng với công ty Phương Nam tổ chức. Tôi là Ngọc Thủy, quản lý tiếp thị của văn phòng đại diện nhà xuất bản Đại học Oxford tại Việt Nam. Tôi sẽ là người hỗ trợ quý thầy cô trong suốt buổi hội thảo trực tuyến ngày hôm nay. Kính thưa quý thầy cô, như vậy là chúng ta đã bước vào năm thứ 3 của bộ giáo trình tiếng Anh 12 Friends Global dành cho cấp trung học phổ thông. OUB cũng được nhân dịp này OUB cũng xin được gửi lời cảm ơn quý thầy cô, quý nhà trường, quý vị phụ học sinh đã luôn tin tưởng vào bộ sách. Trong chương trình tập huấn lần này chúng ta sẽ có 2 buổi dành cho bộ sách tiếng Anh tiếng Anh 12 Friends Global. Buổi đầu tiên là ngày hôm nay và buổi thứ hai sẽ là vào ngày thứ Tư mùng 7 tháng 8. Chúng ta có thay đổi lịch một chút xíu, đó là ngày thứ Tư mùng 7 tháng 8. Tôi sẽ chia sẻ thêm thông tin về buổi thứ hai ở cuối chương trình. Chủ đề đầu tiên ngày hôm nay chúng tôi muốn chia sẻ cùng quý thầy cô đó là một số phương pháp dạy kỹ năng viết hiệu quả dành cho học sinh trung học phổ thông sẽ được chia sẻ bởi speaker Julie. Tin chắc rằng quý thầy cô cũng đã quen thuộc với June. June từng đảm nhiệm các vị trí như giám đốc học thuật, nhà phát triển nội dung và chương trình giảng dạy cũng như cố vấn chuyên môn. June có hơn 20 năm kinh nghiệm trong công tác giảng dạy tiếng Anh ở châu Á cho học sinh các cấp, cũng như là chia sẻ kinh nghiệm cho giảng dạy cho giáo viên, giảng viên, chuyên viên các cấp. Over to you now, June.
Great, thank you, Sophia. Good morning, everyone. Let me go ahead and make sure my audio and camera are working. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Hopefully everyone can see and hear me. If you can hear and see me, can you please type yes into the chat box? I can see that many of our attendants are joining us on mobile and on their laptops. So I want to make sure that everyone can see and hear me. Excellent. I can see the chat box moving. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It's good to see everyone here today. Throughout our session, no matter how good our technology has improved in recent years, internet can always be a bit fickle. So please stay patient with us and please understand if there are any internet or connectivity issues. I am actually joining our session from Seoul, South Korea, where it is quite hot, but it has been rainy as well. So hopefully the rain has not or will not interrupt our connection today. So I am actually very, very excited to be part of the TNON 12 Friends Global training workshops. My name is June Lee, and as I mentioned earlier, I am joining us from Seoul, South Korea, and I've been part of the TNON training workshops for quite some time now. I'm actually curious, in the chat box, everyone, can you please tell me if you have attended a workshop on TNON 12 or any of the other TNON series? If you can just put yes or no in the chat box, that would be great. It's always interesting for presenters to know where our teachers are coming from and also their background experience. So if you have attended a training session on this series or any of the TNON series in the past, please type in yes or no. Good, so it looks like we do have some answers coming in, and there are a mixture of responses. Some teachers are stating yes, they have. Some teachers are saying no, they have not. It looks like almost 50%, or actually more no's now. So I'm actually very happy to be part of, for those teachers who have joined us in the past, thank you again for coming and joining us today. For those who have not, and this is their first webinar session on this series, I will try my best to make sure that the content is easy to understand. And most importantly, we try to involve all of our teachers joining us in Vietnam with their background and experiences as well. So as you can see, I'm going to jump right into our topic of our workshop today, and we are going to be focusing on fundamental writing skills for teenage learners. Now, to be honest, personally, I actually do enjoy teaching writing and writing abilities and skills through ESL learners and also with training workshops. Now, this may not be the most popular opinion, but writing, in my opinion, tends to be kind of forgotten a little bit. I think that especially in Asia, the other skills such as reading and speaking tend to have a lot more focus than writing does, which is quite interesting because in Korea and many parts of Asia, and probably Vietnam too, there's so much emphasis and focus on vocabulary and grammar, yet writing is not, in my opinion, supported as much as it could be. Now, once again, this is because of many different reasons, usually through their productive skills. Many teachers prefer that their students have the speaking abilities first, or that before they speak, they can work on writing something. So it's not completely separate. And of course, all of our English skills, reading, writing, speaking, listening, vocabulary, pronunciation, grammar, all of that are connected together. But I do feel like that this is a great opportunity for our teachers to build their confidence, not with just teaching writing skills, but also making sure that they're supporting their learners, their teenage learners more specifically in the classroom as well. So we are going to be speaking about writing skills, and later on, we're going to be focusing on 2 specific writing prompts that we are going to do a walkthrough with, and we're going to be able to exchange our experiences, and hopefully I can provide all of our teachers today with a simple and easy outline and approach to teaching writing. because writing itself is hard. It's difficult for many of our learners, but it also can be difficult for our teachers to get those skills out to their students. So before we do start, I want to make sure that I hear some of our thoughts and some of our experiences with our teachers today. So I do have 3 poll questions. They're very, very simple to do. I'm going to read the poll question first, and then our lovely moderator, Sophia, is going to put the poll up into your room. So your whole screen will turn into the poll. So all you have to do is share your response, and then we're going to see how our teachers feel about writing and their experiences so far. So is everyone ready? So if you are ready for our polls, everyone please type in yes or no into our chat box, please. Hopefully everyone is ready. Hopefully we'll be able to get some responses in our chat box. Yes, thank you. We do have our teachers. Yes, with so many yeses. Thank you, Kim teacher. Excellent. Very, very good. So let's go ahead and jump right into our first poll. And I'm going to read the question first. What is the main challenge you find with your learners with writing? And there are 6 different options here. So the question is, what is the main challenge you find with your learners with writing? At this time, Sophia, can you please put up our poll question? Great. So at this time, hopefully on your screen, on your mobile or on your laptop or personal device, it should have the poll pop up for you, and you can select on your poll which is the best response for yourself. Now, I know that there are some teachers who are doing it in the chat box, but the poll should maybe a little bit easier for us to collect this information. I've given everyone a few moments to get their answers in. Sophia, can you please share us with our teachers the live results? Great. So in the in the screen right now, you should see about all of our 6 options, and you'll see these numbers and percentages moving back and forth. This is because this is a live poll, and we are getting all of our teachers' feedback. And it looks like so far, the highest response, the question was, what is the main challenge you find with your learners with writing? And it looks like planning an outline seems to be leading with our number 1 response. Once again, it's changing and updating, but it looks like 41%, nearly half of our teachers are stating that planning an outline is going to be the most challenging with their students dealing with writing. Now, after that, we have a very, very close tie with our rest of the answers. Understanding the prompt. Oh, key language has now popped up a little bit higher. And then also working on writing a draft and giving and receiving feedback. Excellent, excellent job. Thank you, everyone, for sharing your responses with us. I'm going to close this one out for now. And I want to move on to poll question number 2. What support would help your writing class lessons? And there are 5 options. What support would help your writing class lessons? Sophia, can you please put our poll up? So at this time, poll number 2 should have popped up on your screen, so you are able to freely choose one of the options. And of course, there may be more options for you, but try to choose the highest response that you feel best for your learners. And Sophia, can you please turn on our live poll for us? Wow, okay, brainstorming methods is taking lead with nearly 50%. Wow, that's nearly half of our teachers are stating that more support could go into brainstorming. That is actually interesting to hear. Number 2 is writing skills practice. We also have a close third tie with explanation of writing style. Interesting, very good. And of course, we have different answers of topic discussion and 1% with others, but it looks like brainstorming method seems to be the highest response so far. And it looks like number 2 is writing skills practice. That is actually great information to hear and have. And hopefully throughout our session today, we'll be able to offer not only brainstorming methods, but also writing skills practice to help develop these fundamental skills, turning into or using our content and our ideas and turning into more productive output responses and writing pieces. Excellent. I'm going to close this one out and let's go on to poll question number 3. And it asks, when do your learners do writing tasks? So this is going to be talking about the physical writing activity, exercise, or task. When do your learners do writing tasks? Sophia, can you please put up our poll question for us? Great. And hopefully the poll question has popped up on your screens. And there are only 4 options here. I don't think there are many other options out there. But Sophia, can you please share with us our live response? Wow. Okay. Changing rapidly. It looks like, okay, it stopped moving for now. So it changed again. But it looks like more than half of our teachers are responding with number 1. When do your learners do writing tasks in the classroom with teacher guidance? And the highest second spot is as homework assignments. That is actually quite interesting because that shows us that in the classroom, you are giving your students the proper guidance to do the task in the classroom with you, which is great because you are giving them the right tools, you are giving them the feedback and setup. But it looks like from there, it jumps to as individual homework assignments. And there is logically that this does make sense because if you teach them the skills, then they should be able to do it at home for practice. But in my opinion, there is a gap in between I'm teaching you the skills and you doing it on your own. Now, I think that there is some room for our teachers to allow their students to do some of the independent tasks in the classroom. So that means that you will be doing more observations than guidance. And it allows your students to have a bit of a warm-up or practice on their own. Now, once again, I do understand that there is timing issues. There are ideas of working with mixed ability or with large groups and numbers of students. But hopefully today we're going to be able to discuss different options for not just the guidance level, but giving them a little bit of time to work on it on their own, even if it is only half of a task or only 4 or 5 minutes on their own independently. I do believe that that middle step of allowing classroom independent work can really help the result of homework tasks and consolidating the information teachers have provided for them. Great, excellent information. I do appreciate everyone's responses. And I do want to go ahead and go right into our agenda for today. And I believe that for our students to have success understanding writing, teachers should also be able to need the skills of understanding the writing process so they can deliver the skills in a much more simpler and scaffolded way to their learners. So first, we're going to talk about what is the writing process? What does it actually mean to give ourselves a foundational boost, a refresher, so we can make sure that when we're teaching the proper skills to our students, that they understand this and the reasoning behind it as well. We are also going to look at a specific writing process model. Now, there are many different types of writing models out there, And depending on the writing prompt, you may think, oh, the writing process could be different. But I am going to be introducing one style of writing, and this process can cover any type of writing prompt, writing expectations, if this is an essay, if this is an email, if this is just a letter, if this is a social SMS example. So once again, we're going to find and use a simple writing process model for students to be more comfortable with, and then they're going to be adding in the prompt and the writing styles and objectives. We're also going to look at 2 different types of writings. Like I mentioned earlier, we're going to be focusing on for and against writing prompts and a type of summarization. Now, this is what I've noticed that many of our teachers struggle with or have challenges with. They understand the writing process, but they can get a bit confused or a bit challenged or struggle with each different type of prompt. Because once again, they think that the writing process will change with each different prompt, and they get a bit overwhelmed with, do my students understand the prompt? Does the writing process change? How do I have to alter it? But we want to make sure we're going to do this together to have a good foundational basis, because all of the skills today, you'll be able to use this in any writing prompt, any level, any type of writing style as well. And of course, we're going to wrap up with the quick summary, focusing on what we've learned and highlighting the main points. So let's go ahead and jump right into our understanding the writing process. And in the chat box, everyone, I am wanting to make sure that I want to ask everyone in our chat box, can you please share with us, what do you think is the purpose of writing? Not just in English, but any language. In the chat box response, you don't have to give me a paragraph or a full sentence. What do you think the purpose of writing is in English? In the chat box once again, please share with us, what do you think is one purpose? There are many purposes of it, but what do you think is the leading purpose of writing in English? Now, we have some great answers already coming in. We have Na teacher and Lok teacher saying to communicate, communication. And this actually is 100% true. Writing is usually accepted as one of the productive skills of language, not just English, but any language, and it is part of the communication process. Excellent. I do want to hear some other people's responses. It says, expressing ideas. Excellent. Giving a message. Expressing ideas. Expressing oneself. A process of expressing your thoughts in an organized and thoughtful way. Wow. Tan teacher, excellent. That's a very, very dictionary definition, which sounds great. Try teacher says conveying ideas. Jiang teacher says that is actually great, because not only are you providing information, but the writing is also going to be expected as is the reader also understanding what I'm communicating? So there is an exchange. Excellent. Expression of personal opinion, to communicate, express ideas. These are all great 100% responses. And I do want to share 2 main areas where writing, especially for English language teaching, shares 2 main purposes, and everyone's ideas and responses so far fall under one of these 2 areas, in my opinion. The first one is going to be, it is one form of communication. Expressing ideas, expressing your thoughts, your opinions, this is all one form of a global form of communication, and writing in English is a global form. No matter where you are at, in the classroom, outside the classroom, education at this age is preparing our learners for the world outside. That's what pretty much we're doing in the classroom. We're giving our students, our learners, the teenage learners, that once they leave this school in a few years, that will they be able to have the ability, the skills, the experience, the know-how, the knowledge to take this outside to the real world. Excellent, excellent forms. And expressing concepts, broadening your mind, this is all part of this global form of communication. Now, the second one, I think, primarily really focuses on the classroom experience. And this is writing is a form or a means of consolidating learning. Now, I think this is quite interesting because a lot of our teachers talked about communication, sharing ideas, expressing opinions, but we also want to make sure that we're focusing on what is the purpose in our classroom. And it is one form of consolidating learning. Can students prove to their teacher, prove to themselves that what they're learning in the classroom is being absorbed, is being learned, and being produced? So as we said earlier, here are some examples of form of global communication. Like we said earlier, it's all outside the real world. Office and work experiences, using it for social use, personal use. The office and work is going to be emails. And I think all of our teachers use email. I'll be very, very surprised and shocked if you don't know or use email on a daily basis. Maybe not daily basis, at least on a weekly basis. Globalize also form as social use. I believe in Vietnam, social and personal use. Can you share with me what is your mobile phone connection? I think I want to say, is it Zalo? Is that correct in Vietnam? What is your SMS platform that you guys chat with most in Vietnam? In Korea, it's Kakao. In Thailand, I believe it's Line. And I believe in the United States, it's going to be WhatsApp or WeChat. What is it in Vietnam? I think there are many different platforms. I think Zalo, yes. Zalo is something I've also used when I'm in Vietnam. I also heard of, I think, Viber, if that's also correct as well. But the idea is teenagers, especially teenage learners, are going to be using written skills for social and personal use. And now it's not just SMS and Zalo and Viber, but it's also going to be Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. They have to use these writing skills, and they have to know the basic fundamentals before they actually can express it. Now, in a form of number 2, a means of consolidating learning, this is going to be what's happening in the classroom. What does learning consolidation mean? Does my student, does my learner understand the topic? Do they understand the writing prompt? Are they able to use the language skills that are being taught to them? And are they showing the correct progress through their practice? Writing is a form of practice to show and prove information being acquired, processed, synthesized, and then produced. So please keep in mind that writing is going to be both. It's not just a form of communication, but it is proof of learning. It's assessment for learning. Can your learners catch up and understand what's happening in the classroom? So let's go ahead and talk about some of the struggles that we have. This was one of the questions in our poll, but in the chat box, everyone, can you please just share, and I'm going to get a lot of responses from this, but can anyone share, why do you think learners struggle with writing? Not teachers teaching writing, but why do you think, what are some reasons why your learners struggle with writing in English? So if you can just share a few ideas in the chat box, that would be great. And I'm sure, I'm 100% they don't have many ideas. Now, does that mean they don't have, oh, sorry. Does that mean the prompt and topic, or they themselves don't have a lot of experience to share ideas as responses? I'm very curious to hear about this. When you say ideas, do you mean that they don't understand the topic and prompt idea, or they don't have the knowledge and experience to provide new ideas in the responses? So I'm going to read some other responses. I hopefully you can share your response with that and details with that too. And other teachers are saying vocabulary, good. On teacher writes a very interesting point. They are not used to writing styles and forms. Writing is also more difficult than speaking. I think these are two very good points, and you are 100% right. They're not used to writing styles and the forms itself. Oh, I can see so many vocab. She or Kai teacher mentioned they don't know how to make logical sentences. Grammar, vocabulary. That is actually very, very interesting for a lot of feedback. Dawn teacher says lack of vocabulary or lack of vocabulary about the topic. Okay, interesting. I think this is actually quite interesting to see. In my opinion, vocabulary is a problem with every single subject, every single area of English education. Vocabulary is the building block of language. So I think vocabulary can be used, or lack of vocabulary can be a reason for anything. And to be honest, as an ELT teacher or ESL teacher, that is our job. That is a fundamental responsibility. Vocabulary is something that we always have to reinforce and support in the classroom. But it is very important that vocabulary, I think, impacts a lot with speaking and most likely writing as well. The productive parts, we need a very strong sense of vocabulary. And that is true. But I also believe in other areas such as the ideas and formulating their thought process itself can be very challenging as well. So thank you for sharing your ideas. And to be honest, we can spend all day listing challenges in the classroom. But I don't want to focus on the challenges so much. I want to be able to focus on how we can not only find solutions, but really target the areas of the base reasons why these challenges are coming up. And in my opinion, as many teachers have mentioned, I really think the biggest struggles are going to be the language itself and the situation that's being used. I think that some of our teachers responded, lack of background knowledge. They don't know the format. They're not used to the topic. And this is actually going to be encompassed with not only vocabulary, not only with grammar, but the situation that they're being put in. They don't know for and against. They may know what those words mean, and they may know, oh, okay, for and against means, okay, for and against. So the idea is like, oh, am I for it or am I against it? So they may have the basic idea, but the writing prompt is demanding much more than just, are you against it or are you for it? There are specific writing skills and objectives that they need to target and understand to be a successful writer. And a lot of this does deal with language, but also situation. I also want to mention this ability for self-expression, and many of our teachers wrote this down. Formulating their ideas or their opinions, sharing their experiences. And in my opinion, this is probably one of the largest, the most biggest challenges and obstacles for Asian students, not just for Vietnam. It definitely impacts Chinese, Korean, Japanese, Thai, Malay. A lot of the Asian culture itself, just the culture alone, doesn't really support self-expression and opening up and sharing their ideas. It's not a bad thing. It's not negative. It's just part of the Asian culture and background. We don't really go against what's the popular idea. Even if we're thinking it, we don't really give our members in society the time to speak up Once again, it's more communal. Individualism is not as prioritized compared to falling in line and being part of a community. And that is completely okay. But the idea is that this struggle, when your background is to go along and to not speak until you're spoken to, or going against ideas can be considered rude or disrespectful, the ability to self-express can be challenging. So we want to make sure we consider all of these in the classroom as well. Now, bringing this into the writing loop in language development, especially for English, there has to be a writing process for our students to understand that there is structure. A lot of our teachers responded, they don't know how to organize. They don't know how to put their ideas in a structure or a format. And we want to really just talk about what the writing process is. But not only that, allow our students to have a simple model for them to be able to follow in every single writing situation. And it starts with understanding what effective writing should be. Now, effective writing should be something that achieves the writing goals. That makes sense. Effective writing should do. It should achieve the writer's goals. What is the purpose of why I'm writing this? Am I trying to share my opinion? Am I trying to communicate facts and knowledge? Am I trying to convince you to think like me? Am I trying to give you pro and con? What is my goal? And effective writing should be clear. You should be able to know exactly what is the writer's intentions and goals. Now, number 2, effective writing should align with the intended audience, meaning the writer should know who they're writing to, who their writing piece is designed for. Now, for instance, if you are, hopefully everyone knows Dr. Seuss, the children's novel writer. His target was elementary, pre-writing, or primary age students. Of course, adults can read it too, but his target audience was probably 3 to 6-year-olds, 3 to maybe 10-year-olds, depending on the elementary school level. So you're not going to use these huge, difficult words. So he has to make sure that as a writer, effective writing should know who the audience is and who is expected to read this. Of course, anyone can pick up the writing, but there is an intended audience for this. Effective writing should also communicate the writer's content and ideas, not just their writing goals, but are they able to express clearly what their stance is, what their opinion is, their objectives. If they're summarizing something, are they giving the facts that they researched clearly to you? Does it make sense? And finally, we have to be able to have some type of response from the reader. It impacts the reader, wanting them to give their feedback. Oh, I agree with you. Or, I didn't know that. That's interesting. It elicits some type of response, an emotion, a reaction from our reader. Does it have to be angry? Oh, I disagree with you. Of course not. But there's always going to be some type of response, an emotional feedback with it as well. So knowing these 4 effective writing pieces, we can definitely see that writing has and needs clear action points. So how is our writing process formatted? First, the clear point is we have to be able to use a strategy and understand how to use it. That is a writing process model. Do we understand the model? Do we understand the prompt? And are we able to follow the correct structures? Taking this strategy, this writing process model, can the students practice the strategy, not only through guidance with their teachers, but also independently on their own? And finally, are they able to evaluate the writing and to see where and when the strategy was being used, what areas that needs more support? Now, this is a very typical writing process model, and I'm going to give everyone just a few seconds, a few moments to read the stages of this. And I think a lot of these stages are very common to our teachers with us today. We are not going to go over all of them. We're just going to show you this is one example of a writing process model. So take a few moments. Please read the staging processes from planning, goal setting, and around. Now, are there any stages that are confusing to any of our teachers or areas that you have not heard of before? I do think a lot of these stages are quite common. There is a planning stage. We have goal setting. There's drafting, evaluating, revising, and editing. I think these are all common areas for us to look at. Now, I'm going to provide a model even simpler than this. It's only 3 steps. The 3-step process is plan, write, review. That is going to be our writing process model that I encourage my students to follow. Planning, writing, and review. Now, review I'm going to talk about later. It also includes rewriting as well. You're reviewing it and you're making revisions and you're going to make updates. So that is still part of the review process. But these 3 steps are going to be our main 3 steps to focus on today with the writing model. Now, plan, write, review. Those are going to be our 3 stages. And hopefully, it's not too difficult to memorize these 3 steps. Now, let me go ahead and just jump right into giving everyone one example that I want to have your support with. Can everyone please read our prompt? I'm going to give everyone a few moments. Please read our prompt on our screen. For those of you who can't read it because it may be a little small, I'll read it out loud for you. Young people are increasingly looking online for solutions to their personal problems. Write an essay in which you offer arguments for and against using the internet in this way. I'll give everyone a few more moments to read this prompt. This is a very standard, typical prompt for a teenage learner they could find in their in their course book or their writing books. Now, hopefully everyone has had the chance to look at this. I want to ask a few questions about it. Remember, it's plan, write, review. So, basically, the first step, plan. What is our focus, everyone? What needs to be done? In the chat box, can you please just share your response to this plan? Very, very generally or specifically up to you, but please answer these questions in a very brief way. You know our writing prompt. So what is our focus? What needs to be done? In the chat box, everyone, please answer this question. What is being asked from our students to do? I'll give everyone a few moments to share their ideas in the chat box. Hopefully, you're able to read the prompt and you're able to see what is the main task. So we have some teachers responding. What is our focus? What needs to be done? A couple of teachers are stating, help students to recognize what kind of essay it is. Loc teacher says for, against, and why, maybe. Okay, good. Excellent, we have a for and against. And that actually says in the prompt, write an essay in which you offer arguments for and against using internet in this way. So they are going to ask what needs to be done. The focus is looking online, okay? What needs to be done? Share arguments for and against using internet to help find your solutions. Excellent, excellent job. So that's very clear. The writing format is going to ask another question. What forms of writing does this include? And we see this. It says essay, of course. This could be written in an essay. You can also talk about writing different paragraphs. So paragraphs could be a form of writing as well. It could be just bulleting things out. It could be talking about short responses as well. So once again, there are going to be different types of writing forms that we can use. Now, once again, I'm just doing a very quick idea. We're going to go into much more detail of how this actually works, but I just want to see and share what students could see, and you can see there's a lot of variation what's being asked. For the review, who is doing the review? Why is it needed? So the review process is often one area that teachers tend to skip over, or they don't have enough time to accurately do this. Now, if you are taking the review process into your writing model, if I ask you who is doing the review, it could be the teacher, it could be another student. And why is this needed? Review is needed because it allows us to really focus on, is the student clearly sharing the objectives? Is the student writing what needs to be added? But looking at this prompt alone, it doesn't give you a lot of information. It gives you the basic ideas, but it doesn't give you exactly what is being asked for you. And this is why a lot of our students struggle. They know the idea. They go, okay, I know it's a for and against. I know the topic is looking online for solutions. And I know the format is an essay. But there are so many blank spots in between that. Is this a 5-paragraph essay? An essay could be 3 paragraphs. An essay could be 4 pages. Is the topic of looking online for solutions for personal problems, does that mean online solutions as websites, or does this include talking to other people and chatting? There are a lot of different areas that are very, very confusing for our learners. So what I want to do is, I want us to stay away from just giving them the prompt and then trying to say, oh, plan, write, and review. It sounds easy and it sounds simple, but we are having to make sure that there are other steps and details that need to be included. So what I want to do is, I want to go over 2 different types of writing prompts, 2 different styles of writing, and using our writing process model of what? Plan, write, and review. So let's go ahead and look at our writing piece. And I think it's important that we look at real lessons from our book. And this is coming from TN on 12 Friends Global. And I believe this is going to be Unit 2, yes, 2H. And we want to take a look at exactly what the writing prompt is and the information surrounding this. Oh, and look at what I picked. This actually is a for and against essay. So here is the topic and the content being used. It's for and against, and it says, I can discuss both sides of a topic. Now, let's do this step by step. For and against essays. This is going to be the writing style. Now, within the writing style, we have to make sure that we are addressing 2 different points. First, for and against essays. What are the objectives? Meaning, what is our purpose? What is our goal? That should sound and be a bit straightforward. The goal is, we are going to talk about for something or against something. Now, a lot of teachers just stop here because they go, okay, for and against means pro or con. Do you agree or disagree? And then they move on. But it's important for us to really focus on the expectations of this. The expectations of this mean that I need to equally support the for argument and the against argument. That means my opinion should not impact the quality of the for or the quality of against, because the prompt says I can discuss both sides of a topic. Now, probably later on, we're going to ask the student to share their opinion. But the expectation is not just, oh, give me one reason here, one reason there, but we have to look at it neutral. We have to look at each point objectively and equally. Now, continuing on with this writing assignment, we also have to make sure, are we using the content they're providing in the most effective and efficient way? And with our writings sections, our lessons in global series, the different types of we are going to be given the content, and we have to have the skills of, can I gather the correct information from the reading passages or the texts? But I'm also making sure that we need to activate prior knowledge to it as well. Now, throughout our writing lesson, we also need to focus on something that we call a success criteria. Now, taking the passage, a success criteria is going to be describing what the writing goals look like. We're setting them together and understand what success looks like. So not only are we determining what do I need to do, what are my steps, but can you show me what does success look like? And do I know when I am successful in my writing, can I recognize the pieces there? So all in your writing lesson, you're going to have all three of these. You're going to have the writing prompt, which you have to be clear with the objectives and the expectations. You're going to have the writing style, and you're going to be asked to focus on success criterias. And success criterias, many of our teachers know what it is, but sometimes don't show their learners exactly what is going to be expected from them. And you can do this step with them in a very simple way. And we're going to do it together to show you how success criteria are set up. Do your learners understand this? And can they produce quality work with scaffolding steps? Not big jumps, but step-by-step sections. So looking at this prompt itself, we have included all three different things. Just from the first section and the content given to us, we have been given the writing prompt, the writing style, we're understanding to use the content, and we're going to be focusing on the success criteria. Now, we also want to make sure that at this stage, we just can't give the students the writing strategy. At this time, if we say, okay, everyone, we know our topic. We know our format. It's a for and against writing style. Now, if we say, okay, everyone, here is our outline breakdown. You're going to write an essay, and you want to make sure each paragraph is clear. The first paragraph is going to introduce and state the issue. Second, third paragraphs are going to be the arguments. And the fourth is going to be a summary and adding your opinion. Now, sharing this at this stage, do you think your learners are ready yet to write their first draft? In the chat box. So far, they know the writing prompt, they know the expectations, and now you're going to show them this outline. But honestly, do you think your learners are fully prepared to do their writing yet at this stage? Please write down yes or no in the chat box. In my opinion, even with advanced writers, they have a general idea of what to do. And if you give them the paragraph breakdown, yeah, our teacher says, not really, not yet, kind of. They understand exactly the prompt. Okay, it's a for and against. We know the topic, online for finding solutions. I have a basic structure, but it's not going to be fully prepared yet. We haven't given them the right tools to build something yet. And there's many different stages. We don't have key phrases yet. We don't know ideas yet. So we're just trying to make sure that we have a couple of opportunities to recognize where to fill in the blanks. Chat message that, Okay, some teachers are experiencing some internet and connectivity issues. If you have any issues, please type it in the box. Sophia will be able to give you some options. Just logging in and logging back out can actually really help. If there are any ideas or problems on my end, if you can't hear or see me, then please let us know. Now, I think someone said this. Remember, the planning stage we already thought of. We know that we know the background, we know the prompts. So when we get to the writing stage, brainstorming can be done together. And Yan teacher makes a great point. We should brainstorm the ideas before writing. And this is something that we can do as a class. And this is what I always like to support. And this is where the guidance is going to come from. So we know our prompt. We know our topic. If I have a problem, go online to find a solution. Now, of course, there are going to be two different arguments for looking online, against looking online. Now, in the chat box, everyone, like I said earlier, I want us to do this step by step. So in the chat box, can you write down some brainstorm ideas for or against? So for instance, I can say for. If you have an idea for or against, please type it in the chat box in the same format I use. For online is fast and easy. So not just putting for, but can you share one idea for or against? And like I put in the chat box, please write down, are you for or against? I can also do an against one. Not all information can be trusted. So I've put two examples in the chat box of brainstorming ideas. Can you please write down for or against and then write your information down? So Win said fast and easy. So I'm thinking that's a for. So please write down F or A and then give me your idea in the chat box. So Fee did a great example. Fee wrote down against. There's too much information. That is actually true. The internet is quick and easy, but internet is the internet. Everyone is on there, and there's so many different access points and information. Like if you go to Google and you write down headache, I have a headache, and you push enter, you'll get it'll say oh, there are 2,450,000 entries, and it'd be 0.01 seconds. So once again, the internet has a lot of information and maybe too much information for them. Let's see what other teachers are saying. For, Van says, it's fast and there's a lot of information. For, T teacher says there's a lot of solutions to choose from. Very good. For, Kim says various information. Oh, Jiang actually says a very interesting question. Jiang teacher says, we are for looking online because it keeps their problems private. That's actually a very good point. If I have a personal problem, maybe it's family problems. I'm arguing with my mother and father too much. How can I help this situation? Instead of going to their mother and father, they can keep it private. If they are embarrassed about it, or if they think it's a little too personal, instead of sharing with their family or their friends, or even a teacher or a doctor or some professional help, finding it on their own could be a little bit easier and more privacy. Someone said against. Van says untrusted sources. Very good. The internet has a lot of liars out there, a lot of fake news, a lot of misinformation out there. For is convenient. So once again, you can do the brainstorming ideas, and it really supports the idea buildup. A lot of our teachers said in the beginning of our session today, my students don't have enough ideas. This is a very simple way of having guided practice and guided situation in the classroom to be safe environment to share and open up all of their ideas. You can have the brainstorm very simple. Just write it on the board, type it in the screen, record it. What I do is I brainstorm everything, and my ideas is I have a big wall and I separate for and against, and I start writing different ideas. Or I can be a lazy teacher, and I'm like, okay, everyone, come up to the front, write your own ideas on the board. I don't have to write it for you. We're teenagers, just come up, there's 5 pens up there, write it on your own. Take a picture of it at the very end. Instead of having to record it one by one, take a picture. Or go to Padlet. Have everyone put it up on Padlet. It's restored up there. They can keep their information in a very, very simple way. Now, brainstorming is not a new idea. But since a lot of our teachers are talking about brainstorming ideas and the need for ideas, this is a very simple way of getting anyone involved. Everyone can participate, and you're trying to make sure you're setting a safe environment to discuss ideas. This solves that problem of students cannot express themselves openly. If they don't know the vocabulary, use Vietnamese, use language 1, but translate it in English, and then have them use that word in English on the board again. There's no reason why you cannot mix native language with the English itself, as long as the English is being supported. So once again, this is just the first day of brainstorming. Now, we've honestly only taken 3 minutes to do this, and we have more than 80 comments for and against. And that is only 3 minutes of brainstorming with our teachers. Even if they repeat, that is fine. Have the student write it on the board. Look at the board first. Oh, if your idea repeats, or if you agree with it, put a little tick next to it, or put a number 1 or a line next to it. And this actually shows where your students are also comparing their ideas. So brainstorming is not just for idea buildup. It's allowing them to see, oh, I have that same idea, or I was thinking the same thing, or similar idea, but not exactly the same. Then write it up. It's different. Write it on the board. Take a picture, use Padlet. There's so many different ways that you can do this. And this is going to help your students pull ideas for their responses. Now, once again, I am a very strict teacher, but I'm also kind of mean with my teenagers. I sometimes don't allow them to repeat ideas, especially the main ideas. If for this topic, if someone says internet is unreliable sources, that is very common. Many people would say this, and many people agree with this. So I would take that off the list. Everyone, you are correct. Against, internet usage is unreliable sources. Everyone thinks so, so you cannot use this idea. They go, oh, okay. So it forces them to use a different idea that they may not have thought about, or it expands their idea of trying to think of new perspectives. Now, okay, our brainstorming is done. Now, you can also do this in written form too. Now, I said earlier, write it on the board, but you can also do this in a pros and cons. This is a simple wheel or bubble cloud, but think of other brainstorming charts. I like the second brainstorming chart a lot because we have a problem, we have a response, and we have the outcome to it. So you can fill this in together. So a possible idea could be this. What are the pros and cons for that? So you can see that how each of the brainstorming formats can be very, very different. And graphic organizers really, really support brainstorming that fits the topic and prompt more accurately. In my opinion, anyone can do the wheel or the spider web. But if you're looking for problem and solution, then the second graphic organizer fits in much better. And if you have any questions of June, where can I get these graphic organizers? I'll give you my email address at the very end. You can contact me directly or use Google, and you can actually find graphic organizer for and against. Print it out, download it. It's all free resources out there, and you can match up your graphic organizer to fit your prompt in a much easier, simpler way. We also have, maybe just listing ideas would help. in my opinion, this graphic organizer actually works best if you are listing, if you are doing sequencing, or if you're doing specific order, or maybe main idea and detail, or just listing ideas, main ideas or main points. But you can see how each graphic organizer fits better in a specific topic or prompt. But they're all out there for you. And a lot of teachers, if you remember at the very beginning of our session, I asked, one of our poll questions is, what is one area that you would need more support? And I believe most of you responded at 52%. It was graphic organizers and brainstorming ideas. We are finding solutions for this, and there's so many resources out there that you can actually do. Now, continuing on the writing process, we've done our brainstorming. And I believe earlier, one of our teachers actually mentioned this. They need key phrases. So how are we giving them the step-by-step skills? We know the prompt. We have planned our objectives. Our first stage of writing was brainstorming. We have our ideas. Now our next step of writing is going to be, let's put some academic language behind this. How can I actually work with key phrases? How can I start off my organization and format? Remember, I need four paragraphs. But how can I get the writing language put into it? And these are where the key phrases are going to help you. So you can start using the brainstorm ideas and having this to read out loud. Okay, everyone, take 2 ideas, and please, everyone, stand up really quickly and say first and second. Or it can be argued that, and if you can read the sentence really quickly, you can sit down. It can be done very, very simply. Even if there is some repeating, that is fine, but you're getting them exposure and awareness of these key phrases. And it's also built in with the grammar part to it and other writing skills. Learn this using even though and even if. So you're going to now allow the ideas to have what? 1, formatted structure of key phrases of academic use. 2, integrating grammatical phrases to help make sure the sentences are full, complete, and share the correct information. Now, this is all going to be part of the writing support and the examples and practices to strengthen their skills. As you can see, it is step by step and is actually very, very simple to follow as long as you can appreciate the plan, write, and review process. Now, at this time, we can go back to our writing strategy, and the outline becomes so much easier. Remember, I showed you this earlier. Paragraph 1 is introduction. Paragraph 2 is argument for the statement. Paragraph 3 is argument against the statement. Now, summary in your opinion. Now that we have our brainstorming idea, we have our key phrases, we know what to do with our grammatical structure, this outline has become much, much easier, and they have seen the process themselves. The planning, the writing has taken form for them. The prompts will change, the topic will change, but the structure maintains its consistency. So we have the brainstorming activity. We have the outlining. Now, at this process, what comes next, everyone? In the chat box, we have brainstorming, outlining. What comes next in the writing process? Please share in the chat box. What do you think comes next? We have the brainstorming. We have the outlining. So what comes next? Let's see if our teachers know the next stage in the writing process. Drafts, language use. Excellent, excellent responses. But it's kind of a trick question here because drafting would be the next logical step. Using the language would be the next logical step. But remember what I said, a certain phrase earlier that we need to have our students be aware of. The initials are SC. Now, a lot of teachers are saying first draft, first draft, first draft, which makes sense. A lot of teachers believe that this is the logical order. And yes, First draft does come after brainstorming and outlining, but remember, we want to make sure that we talk about the success criteria. Do my students know what success looks like? But before that, do they know what steps are needed to have success? So with the success criteria, the definition of this is the specific, measurable requirements that a product must meet to be considered successful. So after you're outlining, a lot of teachers say, oh, June, the outline is what we need to have. We know that in paragraph 1, we need to have an introduction. Paragraph 2, we need to have a for argument. We need an against argument. And then we need to have a summary in my own opinion. Isn't that what success criteria are? Yes and no. Success criteria are going to be much more specific. And you can do this by working backwards. Now, in your writing lesson, at the very, very end, they go, okay, check your work, everyone. In your final draft, do you have this? Did you present both advantage and disadvantage? Did you follow the writing strategy? Did you use phrases? Now, at the very end, this is like the writing checklist to make sure they did everything. But a success criteria takes this and puts it in the beginning. So instead of having your students check their work after they're done, oh, did I do this? Did I do this? Did I do this? Put it in the front. If they know what success is, they don't have to, you know what I mean? Like, they don't have to do a final check of it. They already know in the beginning. So the final check is, oh, let me just review. Did I follow these steps? Oh, I didn't hear. I did hear. But you move it to the front, so it allows them to understand the writing process in a much easier and simpler way. So what do I mean by this? We talked about this already. Number 1, for and against essay. Did I present both arguments? This is from our topic and our prompt. Did I follow the 4-paragraph structure? Now, the 4-paragraph structure was what, everyone? Introduce the topic. 4 paragraph, against paragraph, summary in my opinion. Now, in your class, you can add in any other points. Maybe in your classroom, you said, okay, everyone, I want and I expect everyone to do 5 key phrases. Oh, teacher, that's too many. How about 2? Nope, too many is too little. Let's go with 3. Is 3 okay for everyone? Okay, 3 is okay, teacher. We can do 3. So put that in your success criteria. For my writing to be successful, I need to include 3 phrases. So I have a checklist, and I print this out on a half piece of paper for my students, and we fill it out together. Yes, a criteria for writing. Maybe it's not just for the essay or this prompt. Think about all your writing. Did I check my spelling? Did I check my grammar? Put that in your success criteria. What else would you want to write down? Are there any other ideas that you expect from your students? In your writing classes, teachers, is there something that you always expect your students to do? Put it in this checklist. So why they do this, it's going to make the writing draft much easier. They have their brainstorm, they have their outline. Now they know exactly what's expected from them. So when they do the writing and the rough draft, get it started in the class. Like we said earlier, this is the facilitating, the guided support. Let them do the writing on their own and just observe. This is where you give them time to do the independent writing on their own. Give them feedback as they're doing it in class. It doesn't have to be 20, 30 minutes. It can be, okay, everyone, we know our writing success criteria. We know our main points. Everyone right now, please write your first paragraph. Everyone right now, write your introduction paragraph. Give them 2 or 3 minutes to start this. Walk around, observe, give them feedback. That is the independent time for them to work on it. And then, okay, everyone, we're finished for today. Finish your first paragraph. If you finished it, then perfect. Write your first body paragraph and your second body paragraph. which is going to be paragraph 2 and 3 on your own. Don't worry about the summary. We're going to do it together next week in class. That is just an example of having in-class guided, in-class independent, outside independent, review and check later on. And once again, you can break this up to make sure it fits your time criteria in a very simple way. Now, what comes next after this? Our review. Now, with the review process, I like to do peer review. In the chat box, everyone, please write down yes or no. Do you do peer review in the classroom? Yes or no? Now, a lot of teachers like peer review because it gets students to work in a collaborative way. Writing can be brainstorming together. It can be partner work, pair work. You can do small groups. But peer review is actually very good to do too. But there are a lot of challenges with it. Some challenges are the students lack confidence. Like they're like, teacher, I can't grade grammar. My grammar isn't perfect. I can't do this. Or they don't understand what review means or what they're looking for. Or they don't know what to give feedback on. Oh, your writing is good. Good job. That's not good enough. Everyone give me feedback. Give me a question. And they have a very hard time doing this. So what I like to do is I go back to the success criteria. You have your checklist for and against essay. This is the checklist when the writer has to follow doing their writing prompt, their work. Everyone has this as a writer. But as a peer reviewer, turn this into a peer checklist. So you can see the difference. This is what all the writers have. Did I do this? Did I do this? Did I do this? Did I do this? Now is, did they do this? Did the writer put 2 arguments? Did the writer follow the 4-paragraph structure? Did the writer include 3 key phrases? And they just have to read this. They know exactly what they're looking for. It's not outside their skill range, and you are making it easier for the writer to know what areas that they have missed. It also makes your feedback much more direct and effective. Instead of having to write down every single student, you forgot 3 phrases, you forgot 3 phrases. The peer checklist does that already. You can focus on, wow, Nguyen, that was very good point to your reasoning, but I don't understand your detail. So you start giving better feedback than just the basic stuff. Let your students do this on their own. The peer feedback, let them do all the small stuff. Did they check spelling? Is the spelling okay? Don't worry about that. So when you get the final essays, you are able to give much better feedback on the final draft, and it's much more one-on-one. One comment for every student. Great introduction. Your opinion was weak. Rewrite it. Or I don't understand paragraph number 2. I don't understand. Can you please follow up with your first reasoning? So you can focus on the important feedback, the more crucial writing skills feedback, instead of worrying about the smaller details of that checklist. So really, really try to integrate the success criteria as a checklist in the classroom. And as you can see, we followed this plan, write, and review in a simple, clear, structured process. Every single writing prompt you do can follow the plan, write, review. The topic changes. Of course the topic changes. The writing style or format changes. No problem. In the plannings area, we're going to go over and teach them what this is going to be about. Now, once again, for this example, and for the TNON 12 series, I love it how they give you a lot of flexibility with this. Every class, in my experience, works with mixed ability learners. So, I only gave you 1 prompt from this writing lesson. We all talked about this today. This is our focus. Young people are increasingly looking online for solutions to their personal problems. Write an essay in which you offer arguments for and against using the internet this way. We did this completely step by step. But now, later on, there is a new prompt. So what you can do is You can do the step-by-step plan, write, review with the first prompt and give the second prompt for individual homework. Okay, everyone, we did this essay on internet solutions together. Now, on your own, you are going to do the same process, but with a new prompt. Because of mobile phones, young people can usually contact a parent if they have a problem, so on and so on. But this is going to be your choice. You can do as a fresh prompt, or you can not even do this at all. Don't focus on this. Move on from this, and maybe you can talk about it later. Or if you have extra time, come back to this as a fresh prompt. Or maybe you don't like the personal problem online topic. Okay, cut the first one out. Use the second one. Use this new prompt as your main idea and follow the same process over again. So there's a lot of writing flexibility built in. Now, like I mentioned earlier, we have a second type of writing style, and this is also the summarization style. And this is completely different from for and against. Now, we're not going to do the full in-depth writing style with this, but I do want to show you quickly how the plan, write, and review style can still be used. First, planning. Making sure the students understand what is the objective, topic, and prompt. This is going to be a table. I can summarize the information in tables. So this is completely different from for and against now, but you can see the plan, write, review process stays the same. Planning. Talk about the topic. What is the expectation from them? I have to summarize information from a table. We know the writing style. We know the objectives and the expectations. What are the objectives? I need to read, understand the content. I need to analyze, organize details. I need to present information clearly. These are the objectives. What are the expected skills? I need to be paraphrasing. I need to compare and contrast information from this box. And most likely, some skills will be sequencing and listing, because it says summarize. So that probably means I have to organize it in a way that they give me the information. That is sequencing and listing. Are these skills going to be 100% inside? No, we don't know that. But these are the expected skills that they can or possibly run into. Now, part of the planning again, we're going to look at the content. Looking at the content, next to the content, the lesson gives us an example writing already. Remember, this is part of our what? What does the SC stand for again? The success criteria. Very good. So we're going to have this model for us. We have the example of the content. Now we're going to have a model structure provided for us. And this is already given to you in the lesson plan. So now that we have our planning staged, now that we have this complete, we can work on the writing. And what was a part of the writing, everyone? Making sure that we understand the prompt. This is our table. The table shows us data from the number of people worldwide using social networks from January 2022 to January 2023. So what is our prompt? In about 120 to 150 words, summarize the information in the table. We know our prompt and our objectives. I need to summarize content. Where is the writing strategy? Paraphrasing means this. Select the report. Describe. Now, like we said earlier, the writing strategy is given to us, but we're not ready to do it yet. So we want to make sure that we also include the key phrases as well. Does this all look familiar to everyone? We did the writing strategy and we did the key phrases as well with the for and against prompt. So part of the brainstorming activity, before we actually integrate the key language, we go back to graphic organizers. So I'm going to show you two graphic organizers, A and B. For this writing exercise, we have to summarize a table and write about it. In the chat box, everyone, which graphic organizer do you think would be best for this prompt? Graphic organizer A or B? Please write your answer in the chat box. Our prompt is paraphrasing, selecting content, reading a table, and describing what the table represents. So do you think it's going to be graphic organizer number 1, A or B? Which one would be easier for your students? Now remember, both can be used depending on how you approach it. Personally, I believe A would be easier, only because the layout looks a bit more organized. They represent the same content. You have your main idea, and then you have the main spots. But for my personal opinion, I would like to use A because one box can represent one main topic, and I can write the details underneath it that I need to summarize. Next box is 1 point, and I can write details underneath it. So once again, A and B can be used. They're both graphic organizers that can be used, but depending on the writing prompt, one may be more useful than the other. But that is up to you. I personally would use A, but B can be used as well. So as we continue, we have our outlining, brainstorming, we have our outlining, success criteria. What do we have to do? Like I said earlier, at the end of your writing piece, check your work. Did you paraphrase the question? Did you choose appropriate features? Did you put your language in use? Did you put your key phrases? Were you able to compare? Did you check your spelling and grammar? What do? We take our success criteria and we give it to them in the beginning of their writing before their draft. They check to make sure, did they include this in their writing piece? Once again, we continue with the review and then the final feedback of teacher responses. And like I said earlier, all of this is continued and completed following the plan, write, and review process. So no matter what prompt you're actually looking at, you can still follow this model in a very, very simple way. So as you mentioned earlier, using the strategy, students understand it and they can use it. They practice it in class with guided help and on their own, and it really helps the evaluation. And I guarantee the quality of writing is going to improve even within one unit to the next unit. A huge jump will be there. They'll be more confident, and then you'll have more consistent good writing. Now, hopefully, as you're wrapping up our session, I do want to go over the main points of our topic today. We're able to understand the writing process and teach a very simple writing process model. We're able to explore 2 authentic works of lesson pieces directly from the book. Hopefully you can apply these skills later on in the classroom. And it allows to have different experiences with your students, yet having this process set up for you. And I guarantee it's going to improve the skills and confidence for not only for your students, but hopefully for yourself as a teacher. You're much more confident in addressing teaching skills with writing. Now, hopefully at the end of our session, I always like to make sure our teachers here today reflect on their ideas. And hopefully there are some areas that you found useful that you can use in future lessons, maybe even starting tomorrow. Can you find areas or points from today that you want to address? Maybe you thought that brainstorming graphic organizers were a great idea. You're going to look into more of that. Or you never thought about success criteria used as a checklist. Maybe you're going to integrate that into your classroom as well. Either way, please try to keep sure that you are making it easy and simple. And once again, please try using that writing model process. If it doesn't work or you find a better way, no problem. I am just trying to show you one suggestion that I have seen success with. So I want to share that with you today. Now, in the future, if you have any type of questions or if you're looking for more content that OUP provides, we have a lot of information. This is our Teaching English with Oxford Global blog. These are all of our professionals. I myself have contributed to this blog, and you have a lot of great discussions on different topics on ELT in the classroom. Sophia has been kind enough to put the link in the chat box. And please keep in mind, I am actually part of our Global Educational Solutions team, and we help professional development with all of our teachers. There are so many different types of modules, and all of them are free that you can do to help support yourself as an ELT educator on many different topics. So at this time, I know there's only a few moments left, but I do want to say thank you to all of our teachers, and I want to open up this time to have any questions that were brought into our session. Sophia, were there any questions that were brought into our sessions that I can hopefully answer? I did check the chat box. I don't think there are any questions in the chat box, but I do see some Q&A. Okay, I'm going to look at the Q&A number 1, and it says, the first from Quang, it says, June, could you share with us what should we write in the conclusion for the for and against essay? Thank you. Now, once again, for the for and against essay, for this example, it said to summarize your the idea itself. So first of all, thank you for asking the question. And summarizing was, the topic was, if I have a personal problem, should I use the internet? So summarization would be something like, when addressing personal issues, there are many options that we can go to. We can ask our parents, our friends, or we can use the internet to help find our own solutions. That is a summary. The second part, it says, you have to share your own personal idea now. Though there are 4 great for and against ideas for the argument, in my opinion, I am against this argument. I believe that the internet has a lot of false information out there. I also believe that if it is a serious problem, I should reach out to people who care about me, who are close to me, and who I can actually have a full discussion with. Therefore, I believe in this situation, I am against going to the internet for personal problems. And that is your solution. Because the success criteria already said, summarize the main points and add your opinion, that is going to be what your paragraph or your summary final paragraph number 4 should sound like. I mean, of course, I'm making it up right now, but it should include those 2 things. Summary of the main topic, introduce your opinion, and tell us why. So hopefully that question was answered okay for you. The second question from Kwan, it says, what if the student's level isn't enough for them to understand the writing strategy? This is surprisingly a common situation when I often come across. Now, totally understand this. Now, I think you mean the writing strategy as in from the book, correct? Paragraph 1, 2, 3, 4. Hopefully, if you're talking about the writing process model of plan, write, and review, that should be clear enough using simple vocabulary words to explain the process. Now, just to make sure they don't understand the writing strategy, this is where I mentioned earlier, just showing them paragraph 1 needs this, paragraph 2 needs this, that's not good enough in the beginning. That's why don't show them that yet. Talk about the brainstorming first, or break up the paragraphs first. Paragraph 1 says, introduce the topic. Okay, everyone, what is our topic? What is our prompt? What do I need to do? So you are actually breaking down each writing strategy in a more simplified way for them. Now, once again, vocabulary may be difficult for them to understand, so explain it in Vietnamese or explain it in native tongue, and then each part reinforce it with the English again. If you break down the writing strategy one by one, it should be enough for them to catch on. Maybe you can do a pair work, do a group assignment. Okay, everyone, if you understand our writing assignment or writing strategy with a partner, explain to each other what the writing strategy is. Students will be able to speak in vocabulary terms that they understand better, or have them speak in Vietnamese together first, and then try to explain it again in English. Now, if the vocabulary is so elementary or beginning level, then it is going to be a challenge, but breaking it down first and explaining it step by step, scaffold the scaffold. So once again, hopefully these are going to be strategies that you can use in the classroom. And with those types of efforts and approaches, I believe the students will be able to have enough general understanding to understand what their tasks are. And as they're building their skills, they'll catch on quicker. I believe that mentally they're able to understand. It's just the language is a problem, but they should be able to catch on with the writing in general. And hopefully that solves this question and answer. I don't see any other questions at this time. I really do appreciate those are great questions. Thank you for that. At this time, I do want to say thank you to all of our teachers. My apologies for going over a little bit. At this time, I'm going to pass it back to Sophia for our final wrap up. Thank you, teachers, everyone, for your great energy and participation. And please, everyone, have a safe and healthy weekend. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you, June. Thank you for your presentation. Chúng tôi cũng gửi lời cảm ơn quý thầy cô đã dành thời gian để tham gia buổi tập huấn trực tuyến ngày hôm nay, và hy vọng rằng là nội dung của bài chia sẻ sẽ hỗ trợ quý thầy cô trong công tác giảng dạy. Trong quá trình thực hiện hội thảo chắc chắn là sẽ không tránh khỏi thiếu sót. Chúng tôi rất mong nhận được sự thông cảm từ quý thầy cô. Như trên màn hình thì quý thầy cô cũng có thể thấy rằng là trong ngày hôm nay quý thầy cô sẽ nhận được 2 email đến từ Bitmarker. Email đầu tiên sẽ có file tài liệu và file recording của buổi hội thảo. Email thứ hai sẽ dành cho quý thầy cô nào tham dự online. Quý thầy cô sẽ nhận được giấy chứng nhận. Điểm tiếp theo đó là buổi hội thảo tiếp theo dành cho tiếng Anh 12 Friends Global sẽ diễn ra vào ngày thứ Tư mùng 7 tháng 8. Có thay đổi thời gian một chút so với kế hoạch ban đầu. Tuy nhiên là quý thầy cô nào đã đăng ký thì quý thầy cô không cần phải đăng ký lại. Bitmarker sẽ gửi một cái email remind trước ngày hội thảo một ngày, để quý thầy cô chỉ cần click vô link đó thì quý thầy cô có thể tham dự. Tuy nhiên thì quý thầy cô nào chưa đăng ký tham dự hội thảo thì quý thầy cô có thể scan QR code, hoặc quý thầy cô có thể click vào phần offer đang hiện ra trên màn hình. Chúng tôi cũng ước mong được chào đón quý thầy cô tham gia nhóm Facebook của chúng tôi với tên gọi là Hội Giáo viên Tiếng Anh dạy sách Fan Series. Đây là nơi để quý thầy cô có thể chia sẻ các tài liệu, cũng như là bên OUP cũng có thể gửi đến quý thầy cô tất cả các tài nguyên hoặc là những cái webinar tương tự trong thời gian sắp tới. Để tham dự, quý thầy cô có thể scan QR code hoặc tương tự click vào phần offer đang hiện ra trên màn hình. Và sau cùng phản hồi của quý thầy cô rất quan trọng để quý thầy cô để chúng tôi có thể có được những cái feedback tốt nhất để hoàn thiện cho các buổi hội thảo trực tuyến sắp tới. Do đó rất mong quý thầy cô có thể dành ít phút để scan QR code và hoàn thành link khảo sát ngay. Phòng hội thảo trực tuyến sẽ được duy trì trong vòng 3 phút tiếp theo. Cảm ơn quý thầy cô đã tham dự. Kính chúc quý thầy cô thật nhiều sức khỏe và ước mong sẽ được chào đón quý thầy cô vào section thứ 2 vào ngày thứ Tư mùng 7 tháng 8 sắp tới. Xin chào và tạm biệt.